welcome to Intern Views. My name is Reese Hurd and I'll be the host for today's show. The show's purpose is to better inform our community about some of its members who work and serve in the town of Abington. Our guest today is Mr. Shannon, Director of Music and Drama Advisor at Abington High School. I thought it'd be timely to ask Mr. Shannon to be a guest to talk about the upcoming performance of Elf, which will hit the stage this holiday season. We welcome Mr. Shannon to the show.
Well, I'm glad to be here.
Thank you so much for coming. So first off, how has the beginning of the school year felt for you?
That's good. It's really great to be back in person. It took some getting used to and getting our routines back, but I think we're on the right path and moving forward.
Definitely. All right, so what excites you most about finally getting to do a live performance, considering the whole streaming thing you guys did with last spring's show?
Well, nothing beats an audience, and it's so great to be able to have, people welcomed back into our big, beautiful auditorium, and for see Elf the musical, and we were grateful to be able to produce something last year and stream it to our audience, and really proud of that work and the way it came out. But it was just, it's going to be nice to have people back in the seats.
Right. I mean, I heard you guys did a great job with it, but you're right, nothing really beats the live performance.
Absolutely.
So I'm really excited to see it too.
We are too.
All right. So what inspired you to choose Elf for this year's musical?
We felt it was important to get something that was going to be uplifting, inspirational after the year and a half we've all had and lived through. Both the middle school and the high school lost their live performances, due to the shutdown in last year, and we wanted to get a show that would get our middle school students involved as well as our high school, and just something really upbeat for the audience.
I think that's a great idea, because considering what's going on and what's happened, it's probably fantastic to get people's spirits lifted, get everybody in the spirit for everything.
Everyone could use a little lift.
Right, exactly. So what has been the hardest part about organizing this production so far?
There's always lots of moving pieces to a production like this, from the technical aspects, choreography, music, and then putting it all together. So it's lots of things happening sort of independent of each other to start. And then as we get closer to show, we start merging all those things together. So it's like a big puzzle.
Like lots of moving parts, kind of, exactly.
Parts, yeah.
All right. Tell us a little about the process of learning lines, choreography, in set creations.
Yeah, well, we start with production meetings with our creative staff, and everyone just sort of throws out ideas, and we start to come to some consensus on what we want the show to look like. The students are rehearsing 3 to 5 days a week, depending on the week, and it's really just learning songs, learning movement, getting those lines done, and then, like I said, when eventually we start putting it all together, and hopefully they get to the point where they're feeling confident and ready for their audience.
So do you guys start with choreography or lines first?
We usually start with the music and the choreography, because those are the ones that take the longest to sort of perfect. The lines kind of come a little bit more easily, and the blocking is sort of, a little bit easier to navigate. But with a show like Elf, in which there's not just singing and dancing, but there's large group scenes, so it's coordinating all those bodies on stage, which is challenging, but it's going to be fun in the long run.
Yes, that is super cool. I just wanted to get that information just for anyone who happens to be interested, like upcoming middle schoolers, next productions, whatever.
Absolutely.
And so, on the other hand, what is the most rewarding part, in your opinion, of the process?
I just like watching the students embrace performing. I think that for me as a director and as an educator, I think it's just great to see students express themselves through theater and acting and singing and dancing and performing, and it just, and that's, I think, for me, the biggest reward.
All right. What is the hardest part, on a different note?
That's a good question. The hardest part, I think, just goes back to that coordinating all those moving pieces. Typically we don't get all our elements together until the week before. That's very standard in any theater. Costumes, we're renting a lot of costumes for the show because it's so specific. So like those costumes don't come in until the week before we open. So we don't get a lot of time to work with the costumes and costume changes. Some of our other technical aspects like lights and we're renting a big drop for Santa's workshop that doesn't come in again until the week before. So some of those things are sort of last minute additions that sort of, we don't really get to see the big picture until almost the opening night.
I mean, I can imagine how excited the students are, like on Tech Week, like the last final week when they actually get to see all the sets come in and the costumes, everything comes together. I mean, I can imagine how cool that is.
It is very exciting.
All right, so I'm sure the cast and crew have been working extremely hard on this whole production. Are they excited for everyone to see it? How are they feeling?
My sense is that they're having a lot of fun. I get the sense that they're really enjoying being back together.
Yeah, definitely.
And it's, that middle school and high school experience is as much social as it is about your learning and your other activities that you do. You want to be with your friends. You want to be with the people that you like to hang out with. And so it seems like they're having a blast together, and that's what we want. We want it to be a positive and fun experience for everybody.
Right. It must be great to see, just like there was in Oliver a few years back, like the middle schoolers and high schoolers kind of coming together, helping each other, working together.
It's absolutely true. And interestingly enough, so many of those students who were middle school students at Oliver are now some of our juniors and seniors in high school. So they're now the leaders in the program, sort of giving that same opportunity to those middle school students. So it's cyclical, and we like to see that 3 and 4 years from now that those middle school students will become the leaders in the program.
I mean, that is a really cool thing, and they can give advice and return advice that was given to them. So that is definitely pretty
very
cool.
good. Thank you for bringing that up.
All right. Do you have an all-time favorite show that you've done so far at Abington High?
You know what? The fact that we never got to show Mamma Mia to our audience, I know that we had such a great group. We had such a great cast for that show. A lot of those students were juniors that year, and then obviously were seniors last year and graduated. So I regret that they never got a chance to show that work to an audience, and we were all super proud of that. It was a beautiful show visually, musically. I think it just. So I hold that show near and dear to my heart, even though it's still sort of traumatic to talk about it, because we just never got to present it, and I know people would have just loved it.
In the year's future, would you be open to, even though it was traumatic, like retrying to do it again?
Some people had talked about that, and it would have been difficult to recast it with existing students, just because I think that would have sort of drawn some comparisons. But people have actually said, oh, maybe we should do a concert version over the summer. And so, people have brought up some ideas about that. So we're thinking about it. It's in the realm of possibility. That's a great way of
Do you have any plans for other productions in the future, like for spring or next fall?
We typically like to do 2 shows a year. We didn't do that last year, but when we're back in person, we typically like to do 2. One is a non-musical, but because we're doing the musical in the early part of the year, that sort of gives us the spring to maybe do a non-musical performance. And I always like to bring in another director to give students an opportunity to work with somebody different, with a different perspective, a different approach. And so we're definitely got the wheels turning on what we're going to be offering for spring, although we're not really quite at a point of making any final decisions yet.
All right.
But we hope to be doing something.
Cool. All right, lastly, is there anything else you want to tell us about what you do, and especially where to get tickets for the show?
Absolutely. Our tickets are going to go live very soon. We use an online ticketing platform, Showtix for You. It's SHOWTIX. The number 4, the letter U.com. We'll be tweeting some stuff out. We'll be putting stuff out in our school announcements and constant contact, so people will be able to do that. But if they go to showtixforyou.com and search for Abington, our tickets will go live next Wednesday on November 17th, in which people can reserve their seats and get the tickets that way.
Okay, cool. All right, is there anything else you want to add lastly? No?
No, I appreciate the opportunity to be here. Great questions, and we're hoping everybody will come out and celebrate live theater with us.
All right, cool. Thank you to our guest, Steve Shannon, for joining us today. You have been watching ACAM Interviews. If you have a suggestion for a future guest or topic, please contact us at info@abington.com, abingtoncam.tv. Until our next show, have a great day.